call to order the Town of Lake Lure Town Council regular meeting Tuesday, January 10th at 5 p.m. Unless you want to say the invocation, we won't have that.
Okay,
Do you want to?
we can do the pledge of allegiance.
Yep, we can. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. We're starting a new year here, and it looks like it's going to be a productive year. I'm sure everyone has noticed that the mud flats of Lake Lure are back. We have dropped the lake, by 9 feet now? Who knows? It was 7.5 feet yesterday. At any rate, I think we're going to be down to 12. Is that not right, Hank, by this weekend?
Yes, ma'am. I think or early next week.
Early next week. So obviously it depends upon whether it rains. But I wanted to take this opportunity just to talk a little bit. Yesterday was National Law Enforcement Day. And just a couple of comments on that. Law enforcement officers of every rank and file have chosen a profession that puts their life on the line every day for their communities. They've answered a call to public service that is demanding and often unappreciated, but not here in Lake Lure. From local, state, and federal, their duties command dedication. The jobs are often thankless and take them away from their families for long hours. Rarely do they know what their days have in store for them. They work in coordination with other local, state, and federal organizations to make communities safer. In addition to these duties, the Lake Lure Police Department goes above and beyond to develop a strong, positive relationship with local youth at the Lake Lure Classical Academy by collecting toys and clothing for those in need. And the Lake Lure Classical Academy is so grateful for that. They do it every year, and it's the highlight of the year, to be honest with you. In recognition of National Law Enforcement Day, we have an opportunity to thank them for their service. If you see one of our officers, please let them know how very much they're appreciated. We would like to say thank you to the Lake Lure police officers. We wanted to recognize them this evening, and we planned a recognition for the police department this week to say thank you. I don't believe that we have any of our police officers here with us.
Kat's
Oh,
here.
Kat, yes, we do. Kat, we thank you.
We are short-staffed today, so otherwise we would have people here.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate the fact that always has to come, always that has to come in front, whatever it is you all have to do. Be here, be with your families, and we appreciate that more than you know.
Mayor, I have a suggestion. If you could put some whereases on your document and some therefores, I would recommend you doing a mayor's proclamation to that effect.
I think that'd be lovely. I think that would be lovely. Laura will help us with that. Right? Thank you for bringing that up. She has nothing to do, so. All right, so that is, we'll go ahead and get started. This is not going to be a particularly lengthy meeting, we think, but we will go on to next, the town managers
Okay.
report.
Adopt the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I skipped that as always. Have you had an opportunity to review the agenda? Are there any edits? Or do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as written?
Mayor, I move that we adopt the agenda as posted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then the agenda is adopted. We'll move on to the town manager's communications.
All right, we'll go through this very quickly. We had public services this month that spent a lot of their time in support of getting the drop-down sewer work in Sunset Cove up and running. For community development, they took care of 29 permits for the month. They have been conducting lots of interviews for their newly created administrative support position. Should have somebody hired into that position by mid-month. Moving on to fire, they had 35 fire, medical, and rescue calls and completed 427 hours of training for the month. They also, that's it. I'm going to move to the police report. The police, I know the mayor and I were able to help out with this too. They had the wraparound up at the Classical Academy. That was a big success. And then they also had 3 officers receive their rescue diver certifications during the month of December. Moving on to Parks, Recreation, and Lake. They had a lot of work hours maintaining various trails for 62 volunteer hours. They also worked on getting the boater license test up and running, and then were able to successfully submit the 2023 dredging grant application, and then get the 2023 commercial boat model that was approved last month by council. And then moving on to communications, we had 22 news articles published, and then we had a reach of estimated at 1,864 citizens, 25 Facebook posts, and then we had reach on that one about 23,587. And then a lot of what communications has done is she's had some extensive work working on FEMA grants for the dam replacement. And then lastly, for the manager and the clerk, we had a lot of work in support of working with the engineers for the directional drilling project that we're hopefully going to end up undertaking of the next drawdown phase. And then we also help process and keep moving along the 20-foot valve installation. The last thing I'll make comment about is that yesterday we had a new employee start with the town of Lake Lure. He is in attendance this evening. Mike Didula. Mike, stand up and say hello. Hello. Yeah. This has been a long time coming for the town of Lake Lure, and we're all happy to have Mike involved. Mike's a successful fella in civil engineering and project management. I believe we said 15 years in, give or take, experience in that one. So we're really excited to have Mr. Didula come in and help out and step into the role as our project manager.
Thank you, and we are delighted that he is here as well, so that is great. We'll go next to the council liaison reports and comments. Commissioner Doster.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Lake Lure Flowering Bridge, everyone, 2023 will be the 10th anniversary of the Lake Lure Flowering Bridge, which is pretty impressive, and I think everybody that works on that, pretty happy that it's still 10 years from now, and look where it is. So there's a lot of work's gone into that. Few items, just June 2nd, they'll have a garden party. The details will be to follow. They had 142,000 users in 2022. And there will be a lot of educational opportunities coming up for 2023 as well, for different classes and schools. They are working toward their building, their education center, and we'll continue to drive that. Parks and let's see. Zoning and planning did not meet in December. ABC met yesterday. I filled in for Jim yesterday, and they're working towards a new computer system in there. They're trying to update their system with their accounting and doing inventories. Their inventories are getting sharper and sharper as they go. They've implemented scanners, so they're moving into the 21st century, as we were laughing about yesterday. And I think they're on a great path. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. And let me just stop for 1 minute, because I promised Olivia I would bring this up under the mayor's communication, and I did not. It is that time of year when we are looking for people who would be interested in joining one of the boards. And there's at least one position open on most of the boards. So please, if you or anyone you know might be interested, if you would have them go on the website, they can look at the boards. We're really dedicated to people understanding more about the board before they sign up for it. In the past, we've had people who nicely signed up, but they really weren't sure what they were getting into or kind of what was expected of them. All of that under each board is on our website. You can go in there and you can see the vacancies will be posted as well, will they not, Olivia? Or
We can.
just so people, but you can apply for more than one board. The application is also on the website. So February the 10th is the deadline for getting your application in, because we need to vote on the new board members at the February meeting, which is February the 14th. So, you know, I'm such a proponent of our advisory boards. Please, anybody who, you know, if you have the time, and it does take time, and we recognize that, and we are so thankful for that, or you know someone else, maybe someone who's new to town, and it's a good way, you know, to get involved, to start at that level. So please look at that. Sorry to, and now I'll go to Commissioner.
Yeah, I actually was gonna say something about that, and I missed it, but yeah. Great.
Commissioner Diorio.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor. Lake Advisory Board met last week. Most of the discussion dealt with monitoring the implementation of the new lake use regulations, and I can report that it's going very well. The licensing, licensing program is working online, as well as you can take it in person at a number of different places. A couple hundred licenses have been issued, so I think we're through the proofing stage, and very well received. I think people are gaining a lot out of that, and it doesn't seem to be too intrusive. The permitting has started, and I would say because of a lot of misinformation that's out there, a lot of people realize that the regulations have changed. They're a little bit nervous that they're going to run out of permits, which we won't, of course, especially for residents. But there was a mad rush in the first week of January at Parks and Rec to get your permit because everyone thinks we're going to run out of permits, which we won't. But in any case, that allowed Corby to really fine-tune the new process with the new program that we have. It's working well, but it does not work online and will not this year. The online permitting is a function that the people that sold us the software can't get right. There's too many variables with it. We may get it going next year. So we're back to a manual permitting process, but the process is solid, and it really is fairly quick once you get it to Corby. The other thing I'll mention on licensing, also anyone that has livery boats, all the livery, there's a half a dozen or so livery outfits that we have on the lake. They can issue licenses as well, which is really, they've been trained by Corby to do that, which is really neat. So not only can you get a license at the Rumbling Bald here or at Parks and Rec, you can also get a license just by going to Lake Lure Adventures or some of the other livery spots too. So I think it's readily accessible, and I mention that so you can tell folks if they want to know about that. So the bottom line, Mayor, is that new regulations are in effect and it's going well. Also worth noting, the police, Kat, and I appreciate the officers coming to all those LAB meetings now. They're going to each meeting taking notes because they want to really help on the enforcement piece for the regulations this year, and that was very encouraging. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. And that is something we've talked about for a long time, is our partnership with the police. There's no use having the regulations if we're not able to enforce them or if we don't enforce them. So I think that synergy there is there now. That's going to make a big difference in the way people respect the regulations and our police officers. I know you were not there for the ABC board.
Correct.
So there was nothing, you had nothing on the Board of Appeals?
No,
I went.
Oh, you went.
I forgot.
Okay.
I've gone to like all of them, I think. And I did not really prepare because I actually forgot I had been there. So
normal business.
there was nothing. It was normal business. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
No, we're not moving town hall 15 feet this way, so
There you
everything's good.
We said no to the variance and we move on like
We
always
just,
do.
yeah, I don't. There was nothing specific that I remember that was outstanding.
Then
So.
that sounds like it. Well, thank you all so much, because I know, I will
At least
also
I'm honest,
say
right?
that, as we approach this one-year anniversary of our having really re-sculpted all of the rules and regulations for the advisory boards and made sure everybody had a mission, and everything is really coming together very well. It's moving much more smoothly. This year, all new people will be inducted on March 1st. So we'll have that, and it's just streaming much better this way, and everybody has a much better idea of what they're committing to be honest with you, which always a problem. So we will now move to public comment. If there's anyone, no one has signed up. If there is anyone who wishes to make a public comment, you may simply come forward to the podium and state your name and your address. You have 3 minutes to share with us what you'd like to. Is there anyone who would like to? Well, thank you very much for coming. Anyway, we appreciate, and I mean that sincerely, we appreciate your coming. That's important. We'll move on then to the next, which is unfinished business, but we have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new
Consent.
business.
Consent agenda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm losing it tonight. Sorry. Consent agenda. All right. Are there any questions or edits on the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then the consent agenda is unanimously approved. Now we'll move on to the unfinished business, of which there is none. We will then move on to new business. The first item under new business, it's a request for tree removal from within the trout buffer and below the elevation of 995 feet at 143 Frady Inlet Road, parcel 1655828. Rick, I'm going to assume that you're going to present that for us. Thank you.
All right, I think everybody hopefully has my memo. Basically, there were a few trees that were removed in 2022 at this location. They were slightly outside of the trout buffer. It was approved, it was within the 995. It was approved under the condition that they replant those elsewhere in the trout buffer and that the trees that are now in question remain. As it stands right now, the riparian buffer, which serves many functions around the lake, has virtually no vegetation, period, with the exception of these 3 trees and very minimal grass. That's it. So the removal of these 3 trees currently would remove all canopy cover and, for the most part, eliminate the ecosystem benefits that they do provide. I do recommend that approval not be granted based on those grounds. However, if you do recommend approval and then approve for the removal, I recommend replanting those 3 deciduous trees somewhere within that trout buffer so that at some point in the future, we can get those ecosystem benefits back.
And was that discussed, was that option discussed with the homeowner?
With their contractor or
With their
engineer.
contractor?
Yeah, Odom Engineering, yeah.
That if we did cut them down, they'd have to replace them? Okay. Any other questions?
I do, I mean, so the original agreement was they stayed, then they changed their mind and wanted them removed. What changed,
I
do you know?
I had conflicting answers to that. The GC in the field mentioned that it was due to proximity to decks. However, it's in the trout buffer, it's in the 995. At the very maximum, it's on the edge of the trout buffer, near the end of one of the trees is kind of near the 25-foot mark. So as long as you maintain the 35-foot setback off the lake,
Right.
you won't be building within the drip line of that tree, which would, as the drip line, you know, is the extent of the roots generally and the branches.
Does it
So
block where the boathouse is gonna go if it?
there is already a boathouse.
Oh, so all-
There is no development.
And
There
it's not
has,
interfering with the boathouse, or it's just, why do they want to remove it? Do you have any idea?
So, not to interrupt
Yeah.
you, but when you started out, you first said there. Yeah,
Oh.
yep,
yeah,
Oh,
homeowners
thank you.
absolutely. Yep, just to say,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
No,
So in
that's
the
right.
beginning, you had, when you said first, you said there were some trees that were removed. And then you,
they were not in the best shape.
was
I
approved.
recommended approval. Mike handled the case then. I think he presented. I recommended approval. They were not in the best shape. They were very close together, very bunched.
right,
So the removal of them, as I stated in the field and to Mike and in the report, that if you remove those trees, replant them elsewhere,
right.
but the
Were they-
removal would enhance the 3 that remain.
And so were the 3, when they were removed, they were supposed to replace them, right?
Which they'll do before the CO is granted
Okay, okay.
later on in the
All right,
project,
okay.
yeah.
And now, we're taking
The remaining
everything.
trees that are in the trout buffer,
Okay.
yeah. There has been some encroachment into their drip line already. The contractor did mention that they're worried about root damage. There was permit deviation at this site, and in this case, they did deviate into the trout buffer, which they're resolving right now. Has yet to be resolved, but they are working towards that.
Want to hear from the homeowner, just why they want to remove?
Is there anything that you would like to add, and as long as you're here, you don't need to leave, Rick, just stay
Yeah,
there. We may
just-
ask you
you're good.
something else.
So we,
Oh, please, come up,
Come
state
up
your
here.
name and address, and, yeah. We have a protocol here, it's all good. No, you're fine.
I am Shelley Greff. My husband Paul and I are permanent residents here in Lake Lure and in Rutherford County. Okay, so we did just receive approval on January 5th for those remaining 3 trees from the state of North Carolina.
You can give it to them. I haven't seen it, but
Okay.
Mike or Stan will give me a copy.
And so, well, we've been working on this project without, starting it for almost a year. So we are trying to figure it all out. And once the property was cleared, you'll see that the 3 trees remaining are, they're smack dab in the middle of the house, right where the wires come across.
Put this down here.
And so, anyways, we do have over 200 trees on our property. in that corner. And I do understand that we do have to replant it. And
Okay.
of course, Odom Engineering is well aware of that. And so, those, three, well, and we had some weather issues, but I know you said that they're working on that because we had to come in, and so now our excavator had to excavate, put down seeds and everything. Now he has to excavate again during the project just because it's been so lengthy because unfortunately the weather. But we are, as Rick said, fixing that problem. So we submitted that. So yes, we are asking for those 3 trees. We do believe, and if you see the proximity of it, if they fell, it would be, our neighbor, our boathouse, our house, and it is right in the middle of our view as well. So
Okay.
that is why we are asking. And if that means, to Rick's point, because obviously we have a creek that goes through our entire property, for us to plant additional trees, besides just 3 to replace those 3. But we
Okay.
we are asking to remove them.
You consider those danger trees?
No. No, there is no hazard pose at the moment. And
Yeah.
there's been no arborist to dig any additional thing.
Okay.
One is, I believe, the locust on the far right. It's not the best tree, just because it is in close proximity to the other 2 large poplars, but it does not, in my opinion, pose an immediate hazard based on what I've seen in the field. Again, the roots have been compacted because their contractor did grade where they shouldn't have and put things where they shouldn't have. But I don't think that damage is significant, and I think the trees will be fine.
Yeah, see that later.
Is that normal for engineering to go direct to DEQ for trout buffer? I thought we did that.
No, we help if we can.
Oh, but the contractor goes to DEQ?
The mom and pops often need our assistance.
Okay.
It's a difficult process. but
Okay.
The entities like Odom Engineering,
Yeah.
Direct Line, Direct Smith.
Oh, okay.
And, what we like is for them to have all that in place before they get permitted and before we
Okay.
ask for it,
Oh, okay,
which is
okay.
what Odom is trying to do on all these cases.
Yeah. You all right?
Yep.
So you're gonna plant some nice trees?
You are gonna put some trees back, right?
I will put as many trees as you'd like. I
Nice
really
shrubbery,
want
not
to
too
build a
big, not too
house.
small.
So,
I mean, you understand
and-
what this is all about,
I
right?
do.
We can't just cut trees down on the lake and,
Right.
because to his point, that's, we're gonna,
we've
we're
had
messing
this
it up.
property for 4 years now.
I'll go to
So,
Shelby.
it was very different 4 years ago, and we've learned a lot. We have a small place that's on that property, so yes, sir, we're aware of that.
Yeah,
Thank you
we were
very
just
much.
talking, you're gonna replant in the trout buffer, right?
Yes, that's what the state is asking us, to
right.
make sure that it's in the trout buffer.
Yeah, will we require that?
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And
And as
you-
Rick said, they won't even give us a CO until
Right.
those.
Right.
So, Madam Mayor, I think I got this. Actually, let's call it up so I don't miss anything.
Page 47.
I move that we approve the tree removal from within the trout buffer and below the elevation of 995 at 143 Frady Inlet Road, parcel number 1655828, with the requirement to replant trees within the trout buffer, in the equivalent, how many, 3, there's 3, right?
I think it'll be 6.
6 total, 6
But
total.
In this case.
I'll say
it'll be
6.
3.
6 total
Six
in the,
total.
so it's clear,
Is
in the trout buffer.
Is it okay that we kind of have him involved in that replant, just to make sure that you're getting what you want from your side?
Oh, yes. And
I'm fine with that. He's
it's on-
very involved.
The replanting is actually a condition of their permit approval. The only thing that we have to clarify in the future is what species and where they're gonna be.
Okay.
Okay.
That's-
Okay.
but
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
Okay.
It's
That was
on-
gonna be my question, is it, the species have to be
Right.
determined so that you get an
Well, it's in
appropriate.
a trout buffer, so they're required by the state to replant based on the state's handbook, so all native, probably deciduous or deciduous.
I have the list.
Yeah, the
Okay.
state provides a very detailed list of what can be used, the size of planting, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion stands, the motion is accurate?
Yes.
I'll
Is there a
second.
All in favor?
All right,
Then
Thank
the
you
motion
very much.
passes. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick.
no, you take,
No, you're good.
take 'em.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
You may need it, you never know later.
Oh, I've got
Not for us, but
I imagine Olivia needs to make a copy of that, or Rick will.
I think Rick already,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
He probably has that.
He said he hadn't seen it.
Oh, the, pi-
okay.
oh,
He-
the,
he looks
yeah,
like he's-
the letter,
Yeah. He kept it.
you have that? Rick, you have a copy of that letter?
I do,
So
Okay, perfect.
that's in the record, right? Okay.
Thank you so much. We are gonna, now move on to our second item of new business. Labella Task 16 Deepwater Access Permitting Amendment. Hank?
Yes, ma'am. This original amendment was for, or the task order was for $9,500. It was approved in March. This is for assisting the town of Lake Lure for the, I guess, receiving our permitting for deep water access. As you can see in the request from Brian Houston, the amount of effort from an engineering standpoint for the permitting process has exceeded the amount that they originally saw, just due to, I guess, trying to push it through in a timely manner. And it doesn't surprise me that the amount of back and forth with DEQ got a little higher than they expected. What they're asking for is an additional consideration to bump this up from $9,500 to $14,500. And then, as you can see in there, they're anticipating at least approximately 2,000 of this 5,000 would have been going towards efforts already spent prior to December 30th.
We don't really have a choice,
I was
do
gonna say.
we? So I move, Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the proposed amendment to task 16 in the amount of an additional $5,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then it passes unanimously. That concludes our new business. We are going to move into a closed session, and that is, the closed session is the last item on our agenda. So just want to let you know, there won't be anything else after we return. Thank you all so much for coming, and please enjoy the
Short meeting
refreshments before you leave.
Sorry?
We will
Short
take a you want a 5-minute break, William? Do you want a break?
It doesn't matter.
It's up to y'all.
You sure? Let's go right into it.
Take a chance.
Let's go.
Are you? I mean, yeah. Just saying.
Williams going all out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right, you go
I
ahead.
make a motion, we move into closed session?
Yes. You seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moved into closed session.
We're moving a little too fast.
Yes, we are.
Protocols, all right.